All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be in the 147-pound division, where Jaron Ennis has some select words for the champions in the division at the announcement of his fight coming up on the Gervonta Davis undercard. Let's talk about what Jaron Ennis had to say in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be once again in the 147-pound division, this time talking about fights that are going to happen and also some things that Jaron had to say about fights that people want to see. Jaron Ennis is one of the top contenders in the welterweight division. Most people that watch this channel are very, very familiar with him. His fight just got announced, and he just had a press conference for the Gervonta Davis undercard, or actually where he's the co-main event. But he was asked about Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford and fights coming up next. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. But before I do, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are longtime subscribers and supporters, thank you so much for your continued support. It really does mean a lot, even if we don't agree in the comment section sometimes about, like, for example, me talking about Gervonta Davis getting a black eye. Still, as much respect. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support the channel, and thank you to everybody specifically that supports in the super chat, in the Cash App, and in the super thanks in videos like this, where you can support content creators on YouTube. Your support is greatly appreciated and needed. Also, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos, which we do pretty much on a daily basis. So yesterday there was a press conference and the announcements for the undercard of Gervonta Davis versus Hector Garcia, and it is a stacked card to say the least. You have obviously Gervonta Davis and Hector Garcia, but as the co-main event, you've got Jaron Ennis, who will be fighting a guy out of the Ukraine whose first name his first name is Karine, spelled like it's Karen, but Karine, a Ukrainian fighter with one loss. Have seen some tape on him. Looks like a decent fighter. A lot of the fighters out of Ukraine are good fighters, so expect him to show up and try his best in that fight. But at the end of the day, more than likely, he's probably going to get up out of there because he's fighting Jaron Ennis, who's one of the best, I believe, one of the best talents in all of boxing, one of the best fighters, definitely one of the best young fighters in all of boxing, and definitely in the 147-pound division. I watched Karine fight just a little bit and noticed some things about him. And, just from my, amateur observation, looks like he is probably going to get stopped. I would suspect somewhere around 6 or 7 rounds. If he gets to 7 or 8 rounds, I would be very, very, very shocked. More than likely, he's going to get bowled over because the talent difference between the two of them just look to be so stark. Now, the interesting thing, though, is that after the interview, after he gave his press conference and he talked about the fight with Karine, he brought up, or he was asked about the Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford fights, and he was asked whether or not he thought these guys were avoiding him and ducking him, preventing a fight. And his answer was very consistent and the same thing he had said before, but something that I was like, okay, man, I like that. He added a little bit to it, and he said, look, man, I don't think these guys are ducking me because, it's about business. I understand that, but, it doesn't matter. If they leave the weight class, I'm going up to 154 pounds right behind them, speaking about Errol Spence and speaking about Terence Crawford. And so he was like, no, they're not going to be able to get away from me as long as they're boxing. I'm going to be right there next to them. And in the press conference, he actually said, look, man, I've been ready to fight these guys for years now, and only thing that they're doing is by holding me back or not fighting me sooner is making it worse on themselves, because then the obviousness of that one is, or his reasoning is that he continues to get stronger, even though he has 28 fights. He's still like 25-year-old. So he's still 25 years old. So physically he's young, even though he has a lot of experience. And yes, the better that he gets, the harder it's going to be on them. And the older that Errol Spence Jr. gets and Terence Crawford gets, you get older, you slow down, right? And I think that is a very, very real thing to say. Now, for him to say that he would be, if they move up to 154 pounds, that he would be moving up to 154 right behind him. I'm like, okay, if that is going to actually wind up, I think that's a smart move. If it's going to wind up actually getting him a fight, if it winds up getting a fight, make the move, no doubt about it. But if you're not going to get that fight and you're moving up to that weight class just to get up to that weight class, and those guys don't, especially Errol Spence doesn't have those belts yet, you still got Fundora, you've got Charlo, you've got a bunch of other guys in those weight classes that you have to go through to get a shot at those belts. And I think it's safe to say Errol Spence is going to move up there and he's going to try to go get those belts sooner than later. As far as Terence Crawford, though, and I've said this on other videos and I still maintain it, the way to get the fight with Terence Crawford is to go over to that WBO. And if man, knock on wood, that they make this fight with Virgil Ortiz and Stanionis, which I do believe now is going to go to purse bid, because they were unable to come to an agreement about the fight and who would about the details of the fight. And so now there's a purse bid that was ordered by the WBA. Provided that WBA purse bid results in an actual fight taking place, which honestly, man, now that it's a purse bid, I'm not so sure about whether it's going to happen or not, because, they're going to want that fight on the zone. So if Eddie Hearn if Oscar De La Hoya wins a purse bid, they'll go over there. But what happens if somebody with the PBC like TGB Promotions or somebody like that wins a purse bid? If they do that, then more than likely Oscar De La Hoya is going to pull out of that, and Virgil Ortiz will probably still remain in the rankings for the WBO. But if they do that fight, Jaron Ennis is going to shoot up those rankings in the WBO and to number one, and he'll be in line to get that Terence Crawford fight. And I think that's probably the smartest way, for him to get it. Now, as far as it being tough on those guys, my statement has been the same. I've been very, very consistent on that. I think Jaron Ennis versus Errol Spence Jr. is a very, very good fight. I do not know who wins that fight. I think the world of Jaron Ennis' style, think the world of Errol Spence Jr. style. Errol Spence Jr. style is that pressure cooker type of style, and that is something that does not have a lot of holes in it, doesn't have a lot of gaps in it, and it is very, very consistent, and it's like machine work over there. So it's going to be tough for anybody to beat him in a fight, because he'll wind up winning a bunch of stuff on the scorecards just because of the amount of activity he has. Even though Jaron Ennis is still also a very, very active fighter as well. I think Jaron Ennis is the easier fight for Jaron. I think is Terence Crawford, who fights more in a more of a similar style to Jaron. Somebody that is always looking for gaps and looking to see how he can set somebody up. And I just don't think that setup is there with Jaron Ennis, and that work, though similar to Errol and Terence, Jaron and Terence, that work weight, I think, is going to get him. But hopefully we'll get to see it. I'm glad Jaron Ennis is still talking about it. Wish he would talk about it more. But him getting on this undercard for Jaron Ennis and getting that type of exposure, I think is an absolutely great thing for him. And we'll see how it pans out. But you let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Deuces.